Hey there everybody, this is the Gerbil, and in today's video I want to talk about the Raven's Claw, the new Katan ship, and how it's going to fit in with the Rebel fleet down here. There are now 10 Rebel starfighters and 1 capital ship. We know we're going to get a second one. The Profundity is absolutely coming, it's inbound. But the big question is, like, how do we divide these out now? Some of it is pretty obvious. So I want to look at some synergies and not really do a kit reveal, but more of a kit analysis in relation to the other Rebel fleet. And I'm going to preface by saying that the Raven's Claw looks solid, but I don't think it's going to be threatening for the Executor. Sorry. That ain't gonna change, I think. All right, let's get started, shall we? So, here we go. The Raven's Claw kit came to us yesterday, and it immediately had a problem. Typical, right? It says Bounty Hunter, it should be light side, just FYI. And on a side note, it's kind of breaking canon a bit. See, first off, Home 1 flew around iconically in the movies with the Millennium Falcon, and that's not going to happen in this game. Not anymore if you're running Katan ship. And then the U-Wings, well, they were in Rogue One and should be with the Profundity, but that appears like it may not happen. Until we get the Profundity, though, we don't know because those kits haven't been released yet. But here's the way I see it rolling at the moment. The Scoundrels, Outrider, and the Falcon are going to have to go with Profundity, almost guaranteed, because the Raven's Claw has to be with Home 1. So we're kind of being dictated into this. Now, if you don't chase the Profundity, if you don't go after that, I actually see the Outrider working pretty well still. Maybe even both of these still working pretty well in a starting lineup with Biggs, Raven's Claw, and then one of the Scoundrels. But you are kind of, I don't know, shooting yourself in the foot a little bit. But I think it could still work out. I don't know, time will tell, right? Biggs is almost certainly going to stay with Home 1 and Raven's Claw, and Cassian is, I think, the unsung hero of the Rebel fleet. I think he also needs to stay with Home 1, but again, until we get that Profundity, we don't know. So let's look real quick, briefly, at the kit of the Raven's Claw. Now, I've summarized this, okay? It's very, very wordy. I've stripped out things like non-Scoundrel Rebel, and so for the duration of this, let's just assume, for the sake of argument right now, Raven's Claw will be with Home 1 and without a Scoundrel Rebel ally. If you do that, the kit becomes a lot less wordy. And there are really only a couple things that we need to know. Essentially, Raven's Claw is going to start with 80% additional health. That's good. I mean, that's really good. Rebel ally is going to gain 30% offense, which is really good. And the Raven's Claw cannot be evaded, okay? Beyond that, we need to take a closer look at 2 of these. The basic attack, which is really, really important. Because the basic says that if the Raven's Claw starts with Foresight, it attacks twice on its turn. Or just simply, it doesn't even say its turn. The actual wording on the kit says if the Raven's Claw starts, begins the turn, not its own turn. This is very important. It will attack twice, dispel the target, and if it's attacking an enemy with target lock, it will call a random ally to assist. So this is very similar to the Falcon, except that it's attacking twice. It's yet to see how much damage it will actually do. The other thing we have to look at is the second unique, the Guiding Foresight. This is where all of the magic for the Raven's Claw happens. It says, starts off with whenever an ally rebel ship assists another rebel ship, it gains Foresight. That's the assisting ship, right? So when it does its basic, targeting a target locked ship, it attacks twice, dispels, calls an assist. Let's say that's Biggs. Biggs is called in to assist. Biggs gains Foresight. That's great. As a tank, he's probably taunting. That means to survive longer, the first shot is going to miss him because he's got Foresight. So that's solid. Tanks are going to live longer. In fact, the whole fleet's going to live longer. Rebels, if they have Foresight, can now ignore taunt, which is great. But when they do ignore taunt, their Foresight will be dispelled. Now jump to the bottom of the list here. Whenever Foresight expires on a Rebel, that ship gains offense up. The question is, is that dispelled being counting as an expire? Because if not, then that last line of offense up is probably never going to happen, because the foresight is for 2 turns, and within 2 turns they're definitely going to be shot at, which means the foresight will be consumed, or they're going to dispel it. So I'm really curious if these 2 lines, the foresight dispelling, is that going to count and provide the offense up? If so, then we have some magic, I think. If not, it's kind of a shame and it's a waste. Beyond that, when the Raven's Claw starts its turn with foresight, it will inflict a random enemy with target lock. And whenever an enemy is inflicted with target lock, the Raven's Claw gains foresight. Okay, so anytime someone gets target locked, it gains foresight. While it has foresight, it can ignore taunt. If it gets dispelled, it gains offense up. And whenever an ally ship assists, that assisting ship gets foresight. So what we have here is a whole lot of assists, target lock, and foresight synergies. Those are the 3 key mechanics: assisting, target lock, and foresight. All right, so here's how I see this playing out. We'll look at individual ships later, but I see this playing out like this. Turn 1, Bistan is among the fastest ships in the game. Don't forget, it starts with a bonus 25% speed. So look at its kit speed, multiply it by 1.25, and you'll find it is incredibly fast. Okay, so Bistan does the scouting maneuver and zap, target lock on an enemy. What happens there is Biggs is triggered into taunt. Okay, so your tank is now taunting. Bistan is going to gain himself 30% turn meter, which is pretty solid. Then the Raven's Crest is going to get foresight and plus 50 speed because somebody got target locked. Then Bistan is going to give somebody a random 35% turn meter. Now that could go anywhere. That creates a little bit of RNG variability that makes this model a little bit less reliable. But let's assume that, and it doesn't matter, actually, the turn order here doesn't matter too much, but let's say that the Raven's Claw goes second because it got that plus 50 speed. And it has an equal chance of getting the turn meter boost, so why not, right? So the Raven's Claw then could use its special, or removing 100% turn meter for a target, inflicting target lock again, but we're going to hold off on that because Biggs is already taunting, so he doesn't need the target lock. And while we could remove 100% turn meter, I think we can actually get away with killing almost one enemy ship at least from any enemy fleet before they get a turn. So instead of using the special, we're just going to basic attack the ship that got target locked. What's going to happen is the Raven's Claw is going to double tap. If there's any buffs, it's going to cleanse those, and it's going to call a random assist. Now that random assist is going to be either Biggs or Bistan, so we got B or B happening here. But hang on, let's think about the mechanics. Before the damage is dealt, if you're targeting a ship that's not taunting, what's going to happen is Raven's Claw is going to lose foresight, gain offense up, attack twice with the offense up, and then if Biggs is called to assist, then he will inflict target lock from his basic, restoring foresight on the Raven's Claw. So it loses the foresight, gains offense up, attacks, and then regains the foresight, which is just amazing. And in that process, Bistan said, hey, someone got target locked, here's 35% more turn meter. And Home 1 is like, hey, Biggs, you attacked out a turn, give yourself 60% protection up. And Raven's Claw is like, hey, you attacked out a turn, here, Biggs, have foresight, so you're a little more protected. So now we have 2 ships with foresight, one with offense up, and 2 enemy ships are target locked. All right, next, Biggs is going to go, at this point, definitely, there's some turn meter shenanigans that have happened. He's probably going to take his turn before the enemies if you're really lucky. And he's going to use his special on the target locked enemy. That's going to call an assist. If it's Bistan, fine, he attacks, but cool thing about Bistan, I'll explain in a moment. But if it's the Raven's Claw, then it's going to, again, double tap and dispel and call an assist, so you're getting 3 attacks out of there. Possibly, well, let's see, 4, right? A double tap plus an assist. So you're getting either 2 or 4 attacks out of this. Maybe the enemies go, maybe they don't. Home 1 now takes a shot. You do the triple shot, calling 2 assists. All that shenanigans repeats. Someone gets more turn meter, blah, blah, blah. So at this point, if you're lucky, at a minimum, you've delivered 8 attacks, possibly 12 attacks. Bistan is in stealth. Biggs is taunting with foresight. Ravensclaw has foresight. All ships have protection up, and maybe the Ravensclaw has offense up. In addition, if Biggs wasn't assisting, then the good thing is that the people who are attacking, if it wasn't Biggs, then it was Bistan and Ravensclaw, both of which cannot be evaded. So between Bistan and Ravens, you're going to be able to drop like TIE Fighter or anybody else that has a high dodge rate, which includes Executor ships. Can they beat Executor? I don't think so. I just absolutely don't think so. I mean, time will tell, right? So this is the way I see it playing out. I've experimented with some analytics and some modeling, and I just don't see the Ravenclaw's special ability being in play yet. You want to save that one really until somebody is either threatening, you need to knock their turn meter back down, or you need to apply a target lock to trigger Biggs to recover his protection, to heal him, or to gain that taunt. So I think you need to save that one until at least second turn. All right, so let's look at some individual kits real quick. So Biggs, he's the go-to guy here. Target lock on basic. That target lock is what enables the Raven's Claw to call the assist like the Millennium Falcon did. So this is critical. Also, of course, whenever somebody is target locked, he gains taunt and 40% protection. So he has a solid basic attack synergy. He has a solid assist synergy in that his special calls an assist, and he inflicts taunt or target lock easier than anybody else in the fleet. I mean, he's the guy for that. Wedge doesn't have any direct synergies, but what Wedge does do is apply up to 3 damage over time effects on the basic. Now this matters because this fleet will be calling out assist after assist after assist. So the probability of him landing 3, 6, 9, 12 DOTs is really, really high. And I think that he may see some play, but ultimately I think he's a back-end reinforcement. He does gain 25% turn meter whenever he attacks out of turn. So again, there's a possibility of him being exceedingly fast and laying out DOTs, but he has no assist synergy beyond that, and he has no target lock ability. So not so good for Ravensclaw. Ghost does a lot of interesting stuff, but its basic attack is very meh in terms of synergies. He does have one ability, the Static Jammer, that calls 3 rebel allies to assist, which is good, but it's on a cooldown of 4, so you're not going to do that very often, and that's not really going to be enough to, I think, benefit from home ones, protection ups, and all the other things you're going to get out of this kit. You want as many assists as possible so that Raven's Claw is double tapping and calling another assist. If you can regulate a consistent flow of assists, I think this team has less RNG problems and will be more consistent than Millennium Falcon. Will it do as much damage? Don't know. Falcon hit really, really hard. Of course, the Claw is giving everybody 30% bonus offense, so who knows? Phantom has, it has I checked that it has a solid basic. That's a mistake, typo on my bad. Its basic is totally worthless other than it's an attack. Puts himself into stealth, but we don't really care about that. He does have one ability that gives himself foresight, but that it doesn't really play into the whole team synergy much. He does have one special that inflicts target lock on up to 2 enemies, which is really, really nice because that's a double trigger for Biggs, which means he recovers up to 80% of his protection. So that is solid, but Ghost and Phantom need to be together, and they don't really, as a whole, they don't do a lot for Razor Crest, Raven's Claw overall. Cassian's U-Wing is, like I said, the unsung hero. He has a special that calls a targeted assist with higher crit damage, higher crit chance. He inflicts target lock. He cleanses. I mean, he's awesome. And I think that he just needs to stay here for now until we see Profundity. I just don't even know what to expect from Profundity. Oh, Falcon, sorry. You're a scoundrel. Absolutely not. You have, like, anti-synergies happening all over there. All right, then we get to Bistan, who we already talked about. He's going to go first. He's going to start off with the target lock. He's going to trigger the whole train happening. He's going to, you know, put the Raven's Claw under Foresight. He's going to put the taunt on Biggs. He's the engine that starts it. If you don't have him there, then you're going to struggle to get into somebody target locked on turn 1. Now, you could alternatively run Outrider, which I'll talk about in just a second. Now, the Y-Wing. Why not the Y-Wing? Well, first off, the Y-Wing doesn't put anybody into target lock, which doesn't benefit the Ravenclaw's basic, which means you don't get the assists on the basic. That's a big no-no. Secondly, the Y-Wing's basic attack really does suck. It's like the lightest tapper on the fleet, and it's this without Falcon may be a very low damage team already, yet to be determined, but he's just not going to put out damage. Ion torpedoes are great, but that's to get around tanks usually, and you don't need to worry about that now because Raven's Claw just simply says, hey, look, I got Foresight, bypass tanks. So that Ion Torpedo is far less effective in this situation. And then while this guy does assist a lot, he only assists when other people are assisting, and only 1 out of 3 times. It's a pretty low RNG-based mechanic. So I wouldn't count on that one in the slightest. Now, Outrider, again, Scoundrel, not going to happen, but I could see a situation, though, where Outrider replaces Bistan. He goes first, drops the concussion missiles, triggers taunt, lands the target lock, and then from this point on, basically, I think I got to go back and read the official Claw kit, but I think that he only calls a non-Scoundrel rebel to assist. If that's the case and Biggs is there, then he guarantees Biggs is assisting every turn and target locking. But I don't think that's the case. I got to go back and read it. For the most part, Scoundrels probably are not going to work too well with him. But again, we got to get the ship, got to unlock it, we got to test it, got to play with it to find out. So here's kind of the breakdown of what this really looks like. Here's our tanks, our attackers in the middle, and our support. And I think the 3 on bottom, the Y-Wing and the Phoenix, are going to be taken away with Millennium Falcon for Profundity. It does kind of make sense in that Phoenix was at the Battle of Scarif also, but then so were the U-Wings. Duh. I mean, it was Jenner's ship and Cassian's, right? Go figure. Anyway, hope this video was helpful. Let me know what you think. I'd love to chat about it. And drop a like and support the channel. I would appreciate it. And I'll see you later. Bye-bye.